And the cost of renting in Phoenix is rising faster than almost everywhere else in the country.
Arizona is the second poorest state in the nation.
Had more than 1,000 people sleeping on the streets.
Our state is now 46th in the nation.
1 in 4 children living in Arizona is living in poverty.
Can you tell us your name and occupation?
Oh, my name is James Hutchins.
Stephen Bankamp.
Kendra Johnson.
It's Kiana Shorter. I am a special education teacher and a math teacher, and I own a small nonprofit called Reach One Foundation.
I teach orchestra, band, and a few other things at Queen Creek High School.
I work for the city of Scottsdale for the police department.
I'm a medical assistant.
Today we're talking about poverty in our communities. Could you tell us a little bit about how you've seen poverty affect your communities?
Absolutely. So poverty is like this big umbrella term that has different components to it.
In terms of my students, it does affect levels of accessibility to resources, to different opportunities, things like that.
Like in the city of Phoenix and stuff like that, I've seen it impact a lot, to where if you go down, you see a lot of kids on the street, parents homeless due to different reasons, probably anything from poverty to maybe substance abuse and things like that.
Poverty affects our community when it comes to food prices and basic needs like clothes and bath products.
And it can affect you in different ways. So it's more than just being poor or homeless. Sometimes people in poverty do have homes, but they are so far below the median income that their needs are not met.
It's kind of a domino effect, at least as I've seen it, because like at the high school, we have kids that are old enough to work, so they do. And that takes away a lot of time that they could either study, interact, grow a little bit, and that it's kind of a domino effect. One thing affects another, So I guess in a roundabout way, it seems like it's kind of overreaching.
So we want to take like a closer look on how it affects children, and 1 in 4 children in Arizona live in poverty. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I actually wasn't aware of the number until you had addressed it just now. I would say maybe due to community outsourcing and things like that. I think in a lot of more predominant areas, such as like Queen Creek, opposing to other areas, I would say that I don't think it's as aware. I don't think people are as aware of the number.
I think it's because not everybody gets to have the same opportunities everybody else has. So someone who goes to a private school might have better curriculum than somebody else that goes to public. And when it comes to wanting to take it to the next level to college and stuff like that, it's not really thought of, because it's just like in poorer schools, it's just get in there and get out. But for private schools, they try to motivate you to become something more than you are.
And I've seen children affected by poverty in some of the worst ways. The impact of poverty sometimes affects kids in ways that prevents them from learning.
Poverty can be redistributed from one place to the other, as far as I can understand it, at least.
In 2022, it reached like an all-time high poverty rate, and then it's dropped down. Why do you think there's like such spikes sometimes?
I feel like the rates in general for like housing, food, education. With that being said, not everybody gets financial aid or financial assistance. So with that, nobody's going to want to go to school.
When I took my students on a trip to California one year, we were kind of gouged by one of the tour companies with the buses and I think that was because the year before we didn't have a tour, and a lot of people didn't have a tour, so there was no income for the buses. So that's how they're trying to make up for that money with price increases and stuff like that, so they can stay afloat, or they can, or stay afloat and perhaps progress even further.
Making more people aware of the number, then more people willing to go and do volunteer work, just engaging with their community more, whether it's with youth groups, especially with youth groups, since you're talking particularly about kids and stuff like that.
It's been shown that poverty affects youth more than adults. Why do you think that is?
Well, let's see, in the most simplest way, the adults have a lot more opportunity and freedom to find a job. Youth, not so much. Even when youth are old enough to get a job, they're constantly taken advantage of. I won't list places around here, but I will say that I do know of some employers that will take advantage of the youth because they know that they're younger and they want to have that chance to prove themselves. So they'll break some rules. They'll have younger people working a lot more hours than they really should be working. They'll threaten them in ways that they shouldn't be, having them work hours that are not posted on their availability when they interviewed.
Again, adults have more say in what goes on in an adult's life. They have more reason to, not reasoning, but they have more of a means to go get a job, to go get aid, to go do things like that. And then if you look at kids, they're kind of at the will of whatever their parents are doing at that time.
What do you think we could do differently as a community or in school to help those kids that are struggling because of poverty?
That's a really good question. I think that the best thing that anybody can do is maybe get involved with organizations that are already providing care to people in need. Reach One Foundation is a small nonprofit that focuses on providing case manager services to people who are in need, whether it is somebody that is living on the street, whether it's somebody that needs educational services, whether it's somebody that needs tutoring. Our focus is to try to be a grassroots establishment that is able to offer support to people to help create a life of sustainability. So we have different components. One is working with people who are homeless. Then we have homeless prevention programs, and then we have youth programs to try to create sustainable communities so that people won't have to live under the effects of poverty. And then we also have extension programs to help people who are in need that want to go to college but may not see that happening for them, or maybe you don't want to go to college and you want to get into some type of entrepreneurship program. So you can find us online at reach the1.org. Yeah. And on Christmas we are where we are partnering with the Salvation Army, and we're providing free haircuts with the barbershop. The barbershop East Valley Styles is sponsoring under us free haircuts for people who are in need.
Help someone when needed. Even if you might not think they need it, they might do. Even if it is dollar, 25 cents, anything.
As you can see, poverty affects communities all around. It affects the students that go to schools who may not be able to get there, may not have clothes, basic needs. Affects them with their learning if they don't have notebooks or something. And it affects the parents too. Parents can't provide for their kids, can't provide for themselves. That's obviously a struggle on them. And us as individuals have just as much stake in this. The question is, what will you do to fight poverty?